Next is manufacturing applications. So we're going to look at two different uh, examples here. One is product mix and production scheduling. So product mix problem here, we have a company that produces 4 varieties of ties. Okay. One is expensive all silk tie, one is polyester, and the other is polyester, a combination of polyester and cotton, and finally combination of silk and cotton. So we have 3 different materials, but 4 different products: all silk, okay, all polyester, then polyester and cotton, and silk and cotton. And here we have in this table given cost per yard of these 3 materials, okay, and then the material that is available, monthly available, how many yards are available. Okay, this is in 1 month, how many units of these 4 different products that we can make. Okay, and additional information is given in table 8.1. Okay, so let's go look at that. So we have 4 different products. All right. So what is the selling price for each of these products? What is the monthly contract minimum that we have to produce? Okay, and what is the maximum that you want to produce, because that's your demand and you don't want to produce more than what is demanded. Okay, this is the minimum we have to produce. This is the maximum we should produce, no more than that. Then how much material is needed? So all silk is 100% silk, is all of it must be silk. This is 100% polyester, so all of that is polyester. Okay, so now we need zero point 0.1 yards for poly cotton combination, where it will be 50% polyester, 50% cotton, and then 0.11 yards for the silk cotton combination, where it's going to be 60% silk and 40% cotton. So how many of these ties we should make, okay, such that it is between this minimum and the maximum. All right, and then we have to figure out how many yards of these 3 materials we will need, okay, based on that. And then we have to compute the profit. So this gives us the cost of the materials that we will be using, and here are the selling price. So from the selling price we can determine what the revenue will be, and then the revenue minus cost will give you the profit. Okay, here profit means margin, uh, net of material cost. We are not looking at any other cost at this point in this problem. Okay, your textbook computes profit per tie and then looks at sets up a problem in the algebraic fashion, but we will do it slightly in a different way. Okay, so let's go ahead and enter all of this information in as input in Excel. So here let's use some notation. AS is all silk, AP is all polyester, and then PCB is poly cotton blend, and SCB is silk cotton blend. So let's enter the selling price, contract minimum, and contract maximum, that is demand, okay, in these 3 rows. Okay, let's format that as currency. Okay, all right. Now material required, okay, again that's given. Okay, that's the number of yards that we need. Okay, and the percentage of that number of yards that we need for these 3 different materials. Okay, so let's express these as percentage. All right. So if it is all silk, it's 100%, as all of the material, 100% of that should come should be silk. Here all of it should be polyester. Here it will be 50% polyester, 50% cotton, and here it is 60% silk and 40% cotton. And we can multiply these percentages with these numbers and convert these into yards of silk that we need, and we will do that computation here in just a second. There's one more piece of information that we need to enter as input, and that is cost per yard and available yards for these three input materials. Okay, so let's format that. Okay, right align, and these should be dollars, and we can move that. All right, so now let's color code all of this. All right, so let's put a border line, and let's also set the column widths for all four columns the same. So highlight the four columns and then adjust any one column, and then everything will be set to the same column width. All right, now that also should be color coded. Okay, so now we have all the input. So before we do anything else, let's convert for each product how many yards of each of these three materials we will require. Okay, so all we have to do is multiply these percentages with that row. So we take what is the total number of yards we need and then multiply by the percentage. So now when we need to set this formula up in a fashion that you set it up once and you should be able to copy it to the rest of the table here. So when you copy down here, copy down, the material required must always come from 19. It should not change. The row designation should not change. But when you copy across, so the column should change to D and E and F. Okay, so the row 19 should stay the same, but column should change. So that means you have to set up your absolute reference in a partial way where the column is allowed to be floating and the row is fixed. Now that times the percentage. Okay, so now we have the formula set up. Now you can copy that across and down. All right, so now we have the yards required converted into the total yards required broken down into the three different pieces: how much silk, how much polyester, and how much cotton for each of the four different products. Okay. So next is the decision variable. So decision variable is how many ties you're going to make of each of these four different types. Okay. Now we have contractual minimum, okay, for each product that we have set up right here. Okay, so I'll copy that. So which means what we produce must be greater than or equal to that minimum. So again, align the greater than or equal to properly and then copy that. Now, demand limit is that. So that's the maximum we will be able to sell, and therefore our production should be less than or equal to that value. Once again, align it properly. Now copy. All right, so contractual minimum and the demand limit. Okay. The next is how much material we need or for this production, and that has to stay within what is available, and what is available is right there. So we can set that up quickly. Okay. Now how much we will use, okay, now that we have changed the percentages into actual quantities of each of these three materials, then all we have to do is to simply do a sum product of the material needed per unit of each variety of tie, comma, how many ties we will be producing, and this has to be absolute reference to the monthly production. Okay, so that is the number of yards of the material that we will be using, and so we have to stay within the available limit. Okay. Now we could figure out what is the margin for each unit of the tie, and then we can multiply the number of ties we produce with the margin, or we can compute the overall revenue and cost. So sum product of selling price, right, comma, number of ties that we produce. So that will give us the revenue. The cost will come from how much material we'll be using. Okay, so that's that, with the cost per yard, which is here, and they both are in a column, so we don't need to transpose. So how much is the cost, comma, how much we use. So that will be the cost, and the profit is revenue minus cost. It's not really profit because we are not looking at any other cost. There may be other costs, and this is the margin net of cost of material. So let's change the format to currency. All right, now this is what we need to maximize. So let's go ahead and change the background color. So now we are set to solve the problem. The model is ready.